broke back benching? That's the question going on in a lot of Saints fans' minds right now, right? Should Jameis Winston play with these fractured vertebrae? And it's a really tough question to answer outside looking in. And it's especially tough, Jake, because there seems to be a lot in the layman surface level that seems at odds with one another, right? When you hear 4 fractured vertebrae, and then you that's terrifying. That's oh, he's out for the year. Move him to IR. That's a wrap. And so you hear 4 fractured vertebrae, and then they followed up and say, oh, well, actually playing football in the NFL, though, won't make it worse. And it's just pain management. Okay, it's all very confusing. It's all very confusing to me. It doesn't help when you go out there and you don't look like yourself in terms of Jameis throwing the ball this last game where, if you really want to focus in on the deep balls, that is his specialty. It's where it's kind of how he made his name. It's probably his greatest physical attribute that he has over other quarterbacks, and it's one of the reasons why you were so excited for him, especially with these new weapons in a post-Breeze era, is that he could really push the ball downfield. Whereas throw downfield were not very accurate this last game. So Maddie Hudak set out to try to answer these questions, and she did a very good article. We'll tweet out the link so you can click on it. But she tried to do some research into these fractures. Now, I will say this, too. Or actually, I'll save this kind of for the end. So right now, he has fractures in his L1 to L4 vertebrae. According to the article, L1 and L2, Jake, affect your hips and your legs. They can reduce hip flexion and range of motion. L3, it starts to get into kind of can lead to a sense of weakness, not actual weakness, but a sense of weakness, which is functionally the same thing, a sense of weakness in the lower extremities. And L4 affects your ability to bend your feet well in a particular direction. And this may all sound kind of odd, and let's be clear, I am grasping here. I do not want to take too much away from this in terms of this is absolutely what the problem is. But this is what doctors said, these areas of body that it affects. And when you think about footwork, Jake, it's the constantly most underrated part of playing quarterback. And when you think about how footwork directly correlates to accuracy and the lack of accuracy shown, okay. Look, I get it. These are correlating factors. I understand they don't necessarily have a causal relationship, but we don't know that they don't have a causal relationship either. And so I think I'd love to get your opinion, Jake, because where I'm at right now is I still have to trust the doctors. If they're saying that it won't get worse, then that's fine. And then I still have to trust Jameis at this point. If he is telling me that it is just pain management and it's not affecting his actual play and it'll get better, well, I'm not going to pull the rug out yet. I think I would give it another shot and see if that is the case. But also, I am watching it very closely, right? And if it becomes clear that the accuracy that he had pre-injury is no longer there, well, then, yeah, you may have to sit and get healthy.
So it not being able to get worse isn't the same as it not affecting his play. You can go out there and it's not going to get worse, but it can still affect who you are as a player.
Very true.
You've had plenty of surgeries. I've had plenty of surgeries. I've come back within a season, and I talk about the one that I had coming back from the Sugar Bowl. I had surgery 8 days before the game, came and I played in that game, and it couldn't get worse, but I certainly wasn't the player that I was before the surgery.
Yeah.
It was just something that I could try to deal with, but it was something that just kind of limited me, and you kind of hobble around for a game. And again, it's not getting worse. It's not tearing. It's not going to be something that is lingering. You just kind of needed some time. And it feels like he needs some time here. It feels like he needs some time to continue to try to get back to 100% because it's not getting worse, but it's also probably not getting better. And when you look at his play last week, it affected him. I think it affected him.
You feel comfortable.
I do. I think it affected him. You can say decision making. There was some of that certainly, but some of those throws they just sailed on him. And I was talking with Flynn about this yesterday. It's I don't know the quarterback position to be able to tell you why it sailed on him or what he was doing within his motion or what he was doing with his technique, but I can tell you the ball was sailing on him when he was trying to do something. So what is that? Is that not being able to plant your back foot? Is that not being able to rotate your hips? That is a question.
That's what these vertebrae correlate with.
So in my opinion, if you're dealing with that, I mean, that's a lot. And you want to be healthy because you're the leader of this team. You have a C on your jersey for a reason. And so get him healthy. That's why you signed Andy Dalton. You signed Andy Dalton and didn't roll with Ian Book because you wanted to have a veteran guy that if he had to play, you could put some trust into him.
It's true.
Andy Dalton's one of the best backups in the NFL. I'm not saying take over the team by any means, but if your quarterback is dealing with an issue like this, which is it's a major issue, see how long it takes. Give him 2 weeks, give him 3 weeks, and let the Red Rocket go out there and lead the team.
So you would play the Red Rocket this Sunday, then, like right now, like you don't need another game sample size to make this choice.
I mean, I would, because it's not going away.
Yeah.
I mean, you're dealing with the same issue, and again, like just because it doesn't get worse game by game doesn't mean it's getting better, and it's going to affect your play, like even mentally. Like you're thinking about it probably every time you drop back.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it is a great point that you bring up. Are you hurt or are you injured? And from the player perspective, it's hard to find that line a lot of times, Jake, because you will always push yourself, right? And sometimes you have to be protected against yourself. Like I've played on like a torn MCL before when I should not have, right? And you never want to be a net negative on the team, but you also don't want to sit out. I mean, you work so hard for game day. It's the only fun part of football, is where all the payoff comes in. And then if you're Jameis, you also probably do have concerns about maybe getting like Wally pipped or like, I don't know. We say it is his team, and I think it is, and it seems like everything from the offseason would point towards that. But do you think he's legitimately concerned about being replaced if like Dalton went in and played really well?
That shouldn't be his mindset.
Yeah.
Again, like we see this picture here, he's got a C on his jersey. They re-signed him in the offseason. I realize what the deal is, $7 million. It's not the $18, $20 million contract, but they put faith into you, and you've got to do what you got to do to try to be at your best. And so you can't think about that. And it's hard. It is very difficult in the NFL not to think about that. I mean, that's why a lot of us are meatheads and we go out there and we practice with things that we never should practice or play with, but we know that if we take a day off, we have a chance of being Wally pipped.
Yeah.
And it's just that's the nature of the beast in the NFL. And when you walk in there on Mondays and you see a field full of players trying out for different positions, you feel it every week. You're like, oh,
yeah.
So you got any fullbacks in that group? See a couple tight ends.
Like looking out the window.
See some receivers. Are those linebackers dropping? That's a linebacker, not a full. Okay. It's every Monday. Every Monday when you walked into the facility, there was a field full of players to take somebody's job. Now, you can have 30 players out there and maybe one gets signed, but you don't want that one to be at your position. So I understand it. I truly do. But you're in a little bit of a different position than some of us are in the NFL. Like you're the starting quarterback. Again, you are a team captain. The team believes in you, or they would not have signed you back. They would have drafted a quarterback in this draft. They would not have released Ian Book, right? So all of that points to, okay, you got to have more faith in what the team has in you. So for me, I just think if you're dealing with this, you have a capable backup, get right. Get ready for week 5, week 6, whatever it might be.
And let's be clear here, because my phone is blowing up with texts and so is chat. And it's people, first off, telling me, well, it's people telling me both things, right? That, well, the nerves aren't actually affected because it's this, or that I don't understand how he could play because it's this. So, like, we're not doctors. We do know there are fractured vertebrae, and we do know that he struggled last week, right, in ways that were maybe a bit unexpected that would seem to, they definitely correlate, would maybe seem to be causal in terms of why the ball was sailing, like Jake said. So we'll see what they end up doing on Sunday. I do know this. Sunday's, I don't know. I mean, must win is a weird term to throw around in the NFL, but early on, going to get to know 2 team in the Panthers, division rival, the difference between a division in which, Jake, even including last week, you're 15-4 in this division of the last few years. So this is where you've gotten the majority of your wins. Like, you got to go to 2-1 here. You can't fall to 1-2 against Baker and the Panthers.
Now, like, obviously in practice this week, they've been able to see, like, where he's at right now. Yeah. And again, if this is an issue that can't get worse, it's all about what can he do with the injury, and what's he done in practice this week, and how's practice looked, and all of those things I mean, because it's all been reports that he's been out there, and there's, it's not been any limitations, right?
I believe so. I don't think I've read anything to say otherwise.
Right. So if you see growth, if you see, okay, he's made that throw and that was not the issue, that's a different story. But just based off what we saw last week, that's kind of that's what we're basing our opinion on.